What's up, fellow tankers? Spacebender here with another episode of World of Tanks, and we are back playing World of Tanks. Well, that's the only game we play on this channel, to be honest. And we are in the Chisel. Yes, after I came back to the game last weekend, I took out some medium tanks. So you saw me play in a Leopard. Now we're gonna play in a Chisel. And yeah, I mean, we did mostly Leopard and Chisel. Well, we did some other tanks, but I just wanted to see how they feel, if they changed at all. I haven't played them in a while. Chisel still feels good, and it's still a really good tank. It still has relatively decent armor, but you know, that reload, 7.7 second reload, I think. Let's check this out. Is it? Yeah, 7.7 seconds. So if you use the combat rations, you can drop it down to what, 7.3. That's still a bit underwhelming because you get Leopard that reloads in 6.5 seconds. You have M48 Patton, the American medium tank, reloads probably about 6 seconds, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there. So from that perspective, I think Chisel is a little bit underwhelming. Even Centurion Action 10, or Centurion Action X, as I like to call it, also reloads faster than this tank. So it's still a good tank, but yeah, it's not at the same level as some of the other medium tanks, I would say. The best way to play this tank is probably up close and personal, because it has strong turret armor, and you can brawl this out. In this tank, you have standard rounds APCR, and then also premium rounds are APCR, and then your last shell is Hesh, which is quite useful too, because you can use it to track tanks or penetrate lightly armored vehicles. Although be careful, when Hesh shells hit the tracks, they don't cause any damage for the most part. And yeah, so you got to keep that in mind. Anyway, let's get into the game here. I'm not gonna go about this tank's stats entirely. If you want, check them out. It's still a relatively good tank. It's a mercenary tank, in case you didn't know, so you need to grind through a contract in order to get this tank, if you haven't done so yet. I don't think it's available right now, although I don't know. I haven't played the game for a long time, so I wouldn't know. So keep your eyes open as to when the contract is available to grind. Anyway, first position we took was not very aggressive. Because I played Leopard before this, I kind of adopted the game style. Although you shouldn't maybe necessarily adopt the game style, because like I said, Leopard is a very lightly armored tank. So you play it at a distance, yet Chisel you could play it much closer, because you have a strong turret armor. So now we're going to engage these tanks right here, but early we were sniping quite a bit from that central location, or central position. We let our light tanks do the job and spot, and yeah, we're gonna try to put some shells into these guys. Now, unfortunately, that T-32 hits us. We weren't really paying attention to him. Well, I didn't really know he was there, so he hits us, but we're gonna return the favor in a split moment here. And yeah, we're gonna drain him down a little bit. And at this point, I realized, okay, look, we have so many tanks here on this side, on this flank. I'm like, they should be able to steamroll this, right? They should be able to steamroll this completely. That's what I was thinking. So we're going to put a couple more shells in here, and then we're going to think about repositioning. Because we did our damage over here already. Like, initial damage, if you look at my damage number right now, we're sitting at almost 4k damage. So we did early sniping, we hit our shots. And with this tank, you have to remember, you have to fully aim your shots, because if you don't, they just go nowhere. So remember that. This gun is a Chieftain's gun, if you didn't know. It has M48 Patton's turret, Tier 10 M48 Patton, and it has Chieftain's gun, the British heavy tank from Tier 10. Hull, I think, is from Centurion Action 10, if I'm not mistaken, but regardless. So yeah, you have to fully aim your shots with this gun. If you don't, you're probably gonna miss a lot of shots. But anyway, so I figured, you know, in the north, we have it set, right? Look how many tanks we have up north. 6, 7. So I'm like, okay, we're good. So I was thinking, I'm gonna reposition south and see what's cooking here. See, maybe we can somehow sneak behind the enemy lines and possibly flank him. Maybe they're not gonna pay attention to us. That's what I was thinking. But interesting thing is going to happen. The opposition team played it very passive, and they were covering both flanks. They weren't really looking to push, they were just covering both flanks. So once I peek behind this hill, I get spotted right away, and I get engaged by the Badger. So that hurt. The Badger puts a big shell into me. I'm gonna try to return the favor here, and then go behind the rock, but unfortunately, that was a bad trade for us. That was a completely bad trade for us. We shouldn't have done it. Badger puts 2 shells into us, drains us down in health significantly, and that's gonna become a factor later on in the game. Our light tank goes in deep right now, so we're gonna try to take advantage of that. We're gonna try to put some shells into these guys, but then artillery pops up, so of course Space has to take the RD out, just like that. And we're gonna drop behind the hill. We're gonna let our light tank do his job, and we're gonna try to put shells into these tanks while they're distracted with him. So that's what we're doing. We can't hit the Badger because he's playing it smart, but we're gonna get this Czech heavy poking out there, so we're gonna put a shell into him. And unfortunately, our light tank gets shut down by the Badger. I don't know how that happened. That's quite unfortunate. I could still use him here. But now that he's shut down, we're gonna have to reconsider our future. So we didn't really do much on this side, to be honest. We lost the battle on this side. Unfortunately, we were only able to get few damaging hits, although we did manage to kill the Arty, so that counts for something, but nothing more than that. And the game is still very relatively close. So we're gonna try to figure out how to dig these guys out. Now our Arty is gone, so he cannot help us. We're gonna have to try to figure out how to approach the enemy's position so that we don't lose any more HP. That's gonna be key right here. And it's gonna be difficult because those ridgelines here on this side of the map, they're quite steep, so it's really hard to play hold down. I was thinking this position here is better. I was trying to engage this Jagdpanzer 100, and probably I could have, but I didn't want to take any risks because I'm at 650 HP and he can easily one-shoot me. So I'm like, no, that's not what I want to do. Not at the moment. So we're going to do something different. We're going to go back up north, and as you noticed earlier, we had so many tanks up here. They didn't make any progress. I don't know how that's possible. I mean, we drained the opposition down in health quite a bit on this side, so I'm surprised that our tanks were not able to push through on the north side. So we're gonna have to try to do it. And maybe gain some distance, try to snipe from a distance, especially these guys that are sitting in the middle. We should be able to snipe them once we get over to like one line or something like that. So we're gonna go in progression. We're gonna try to hit one rock, and then we're gonna try to hit the next rock. Yeah, that's the way we're gonna approach it. We need some cover. We can't be caught in the open or we're dead. I mean, the Jagdpanzer 100 can easily one-shoot me, right? So I was coming through here, then all of a sudden I get spotted. I'm like, why am I spotted? That guy is still in the game. What the? Huh? But he doesn't seem to be moving. So I was thinking maybe he's AFK, but we're gonna use this wreck right there to go behind him, and then we're gonna come closer towards the T-32. I don't know how my team didn't take this guy out yet. I don't understand what happened on this side of the map. Really, really ridiculous. Anyway, we're gonna try to put a shell into Jagdpanzer 100, but the game says no. And, you know, RNG issues, they're still in the game, and it still happens. And as I told you before, if you don't aim this gun fully, that's what's gonna happen. It's gonna miss. So, it kind of missed the mark. But now we're gonna try to approach this T-32. What we have to do is we have to take this T-32 out of the game. We want to be able to go up the one line and want to be able to climb the hill at C1 to be able to put shells into those guys in the middle, those TDs. So I noticed that the T-32 is not looking at me. I think he's AFK or he left the game or something because he played earlier, so he must have left the game. We put the Capola shot into him just in case he decides to wake up. I didn't want to lose any additional HP. So now we're going to lose our 6th sense, and now we're going to continue our progress. That's the hill that I was talking about right here on the right hand side. It's quite steep, it's hard to get up to, but if you're able to do this, you should have shots in the middle, and that's what I was thinking. Now, the problem is, at the same time that I made my progress here, the opposition made the progress to our side of the map. So they're actually on the other side of the hill right now, so I won't have shots into them, and that is a problem. If I stayed on the other side of the map, I could have had shots into the Panther. There's a tier 8 Panther that's spotting all of our guys. That's currently somewhere at F8, F7, F8, somewhere over there. And because they had control over that side of the map, the TDs literally just went over the ridgeline and took out our Death Star. So that's quite unfortunate. And I'm not going to have any shots into these guys. Now, I don't know what this Judas is doing. What he could have done is gain some distance, stay in concealment, and then put his damaging shots in. But for whatever reason, he spotted, and both this Badger and the Czech Heavy, this guy here, what is he? TNH 51, they'll be putting shells into him. Now, I'm taking advantage of the situation, so I'm going to go after this Czech Heavy. We're going to try to shut him down, and that's exactly what we're going to do. And now we're going to hide behind that rock to make sure we lose our sixth sense. Okay, so what do we do next? So our T95 FV4201, or in other words, the Valor, is still relatively good health. So I'm thinking, you know what? We could still do this easily, because Badger doesn't have a lot of health left. I think the Jagdpanzer 100 is a one-shot, and then we don't know the status of the Panther, but he's a tier 8, so we should be able to take him out of the game. So I was gonna drop here and go towards the middle so I can support this Valor, but guess what happens? He gets shut down, and that's unfortunate because he did have a really good game. He was over 5,000 damage when he got killed, and he just put himself in a bad situation trying to go after Jagdpanzer 100, and that's really what happened. So just because I'm a one-shot to Jagdpanzer 100 now, I really didn't want to engage him. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna try to increase my distance and see if I can outspot Jagdpanzer 100, and I should be able to outspot him so we can kill him, then we can go after the Badger. That's what I was thinking anyway. Problem is we don't have much time, so we're gonna have to act quickly here. But we spot the Jagdpanzer 100. Can we put a shell into him? Unfortunately, we had to rush this shot because he was aiming at us. I didn't want to get snapshot, and as you notice there, his shot went straight. But because we didn't aim it properly, we couldn't kill him. And what happened to this shell? That's what I was thinking to myself. RNG. RNG just screwed me over right there because he should have been dead. I just can't kill the guy. You know? And then I looked on the replay system and I noticed that there was a little bit of a rock over there and my shell went down. Unfortunately here, Panther 2 played really well. He dropped back to support his TDs and I wasn't expecting him to be right behind me. And he puts a shell into me right there. And at this point, I was thinking, you know what, it doesn't look like I can do this. Just because there's only 35 seconds left in the game. So there was only two choices here left. Either try to get additional damage or just stay behind this ridgeline and forget about it, take the loss, right? So I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go down swinging. So I'm going to spot this Jagdpanzer 100. I'm going to try to snap a shell into him. And that's exactly what I'm going to do, but... yeah, welcome to World of Tanks. I cannot snap you, but you can snap me. And that's the way things work. So he snaps me with the big gun of a Jagdpanzer E100, and I cannot snap him with my gun. Well, it's just heavy tank gun as well, so I guess there's a trade-off there. Anyway, I was frustrated, so I exited the game a little bit early. But yeah, I wanted to go and see what our team did, and I wanted to take a look at the stats. So we finished with almost 6.5k damage. Not a bad game. Long game, to be honest. Lasted for almost 15 minutes. It doesn't happen in World of Tanks anymore, so that was absolutely fantastic. But then if you look at my team's stats, other than T95 FV4201, nobody did over 2k damage. So the two of us pretty much carried this. And on the opposite side, Jagdpanzer E100 cleaned up pretty much, so he clutched it for the opposing team. So congratulations go to him. He had better RNG than I did in this game. But that's the way it goes. You win some, you lose some, right? Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. That's it for now. Until next time, happy tanking, Space Bandit. Check it out.